Here's your First Warn Weather Forecast First, sponsored by Anderson Collision Center. Visit driveanderson.com.
Well, the rain we had from earlier today has moved out, leaving us with mostly cloudy skies, although there have been some breaks in some of that cloud cover here late this afternoon and evening. Those breaks in the clouds allowing temperatures to warm, but still staying a bit on the cooler side here as we've gone throughout much of the day. 64 in Rockford, Freeport, same thing in Dixon, 62 in Rochelle, and back down into the 50s there up to the north. Our temperatures will stay in the 60s as we go through this evening. May still see an isolated shower at least through sunset, and then mostly cloudy skies with potential for some fog going into early tomorrow. Now that we've got the warm up getting into the weekend and temperatures approaching the 90-degree mark next week, how long that could last in the First Warn forecast a little later.
Work on a downtown road project poses challenges for businesses when construction on Madison Street will wrap up.
Plus, a former Illinois governor is honored in Springfield. A look back at Jim Edgar's work for literacy statewide.
And Rockford's Ironman race is less than a month away. Why organizers say they need more support for the upcoming event.
Live from WTVO 17, this is Eyewitness News at 5.
Good evening, I'm Mimi Murphy.
And I'm Wendell Edwards. We thank you for being here. We all know construction projects are well underway across the state line this spring, and in downtown Rockford, overhauls to Madison Street have impacted drivers and business owners.
Eyewitness News reporter Blake Deeds spoke to the city and visited a few nearby businesses. Blake, what they have to say?
Yeah, the road construction has certainly impacted foot traffic and made getting to these businesses just a bit harder. But those I spoke to say at the end of the project is a much needed improvement to the area. Not only has that construction affected businesses, but unexpected work like Nicor utility work on State Street have further exacerbated the issue. A Madison Street business owner I spoke to said that the upcoming events nearby will make the construction only a bit more complicated.
It'll be chaotic, especially with City Market going on down here, because it does get busy on Fridays, and then it also gets busy when they have dinner on the dock, I believe it is, at Prairie Street. So a lot of people come down here, a lot of traffic comes through here, and it is busy. Not to mention Ironman, even though they've rerouted a little bit, Ironman's going to be down here. So there's several things that happen downtown that Madison is a thoroughfare street.
I'll have more from other local businesses as well as the city's public works director coming up in the full story at 6. Wendell.
Blake, thank you. Tonight, a 29-year-old man has died following a car crash in Rockford.
This happened shortly before 1 this morning. Rockford police say the driver hit another vehicle at North Alpine and Guilford roads before crashing into a pole. The 29-year-old was taken to a local hospital where he later died. All lanes of Alpine were closed while officials were on scene. They were reopened shortly before 8 a.m.
Also tonight, fire crews are trying to figure out what started a house fire in Rockford earlier this afternoon. Winburn Sioux firefighters were called to a home on West State near the Gold Star Motel. Other fire, police, and animal service agencies were also on the scene, and officials removed what appears to have been several weapons from that home. No word yet on any injuries, and again, fire crews are investigating.
Advocates for providing care to senior citizens are calling on lawmakers to continue funding for the Older Americans Act. The Illinois Association of Area Agencies on Aging, in partnership with 13 area and statewide organizations, are hosting the Day of Advocacy. They are calling on federal lawmakers to reauthorize OAA funding, which is currently approved through September. Organizers are also hoping to educate the public on how this impacts seniors in Illinois and beyond.
Is that it provides funding for congregate meals that we're having here today, for home delivered meals that affect so many Americans across the United States. Last year we served almost 800,000 home delivered meals just in the 9 counties in northwestern Illinois, serving almost 4,000 people.
This year marks the 60th anniversary of the OAA being signed into law.
Former Illinois Governor Jim Edgar is being honored for what he's done for libraries and literacy here in the state. In a ceremony in Springfield today, Governor Pritzker and other state officials dedicated the Jim Edgar Reading Room at the Illinois State Library. Through his career, Governor Edgar initiated several state library programs, including an adult literacy program that later became a national model. Also, construction of the State Library building in 1990.
I came by yesterday just to make sure I knew where I was going today, and I forgot how beautiful these staircases are. They kind of get missed. The reading room, this whole building, I think, is one of the most beautiful buildings of government in the state of Illinois.
Governor Edgar served as Illinois' 38th governor from 1991 to 1999. In February, he announced he is fighting prostate cancer. There is less than a month remaining until Ironman Rockford, but organizers are in need of help now. The running route is changing, and they are in need of volunteers. Eyewitness
News reporter Tyler Sorensen caught up with some people behind the scenes of the Ironman race. Tyler?
Yeah, Mimi, Wendell, the Ironman race is 5 days away, but there is still a lot of work done to be ready on time, so organizers are asking for a little bit of help.
Rockford is putting on the final touches of the Ironman race, including the route of the course.
The only thing that we were still working on was the run route, which is now finalized.
The running portion was originally going to go down Madison Street, but due to the construction, they are sidestepping it, having the route now go up Water Street instead.
We're going to come through the sports factory parking lot. We are going to turn left on State Street. We're going to go up Water Street. They're going to do a little turnaround in the Riverview Ice House, and then they'll come back and they are going to cross to the west side of the river on the pedestrian street bridge.
The biggest worry now, finding enough volunteers.
Yeah, I'd say I have a healthy level of anxiety about it. I know that more volunteers will come. It's really picked up the last couple of weeks. I think people are starting to hear more about it. There's been more of a push on social about it. We'll get there, as I like to say.
The race has about half as many volunteers needed to run an event of this size.
We've got about 650 to 670 unique volunteers at this point. We could use a few hundred more. I think generally speaking, for an event like this, we need about 1,200 volunteers.
Organizers say the volunteers are essential to helping out the Ironman race go smoothly from start to finish.
What we're trying to do is create an environment that makes the athletes want to come back and do this race over and over again. We want to put our best foot forward so the athletes feel well supported, they get to stay hydrated, they're well fed, they're taken care of. So we'd always love to have more volunteers than we actually need just to make sure we can pull that off.
Hoping people heed the call for help, even up to race time.
Now, Chris mentioned again that they're going to be taking up volunteers until the day of the event. So if you're looking to volunteer for the Ironman race, you can enter this story on mystateline.com to find links to do so. Mimi.
All right, thanks, Tyler. President Trump continues his calls to end the war in Gaza.
When we return, the plea for peace by Palestine's UN ambassador after a chaotic scene at an aid distribution center.
And coming up tonight at 6, the budget deadline for Illinois lawmakers is fast approaching. What Governor Pritzker said about a proposed agreement.
Temperatures quite a bit cooler today than where they've been the last couple of days, staying in the 60s thanks to some of the rain and the cloud cover. But we are on a slow warming trend straight into the weekend and even into next week. How long that'll last in the first warn forecast a little later.
You're watching Eyewitness News, your home team, with Mimi Murphy, Wendell Edwards, Sports Director Scott Lever, and Chief Meteorologist Candace King.
Israel today said a strike took out Hamas leader Mohammed Sinwar recently. Hamas has not commented, though, or confirmed his death.
The announcement comes as thousands of Gazans overwhelmed an aid distribution center. Christian Cordero has the latest from Washington, D.C.
Today, as Palestinians in Gaza face the threat of famine, an impassioned plea thousands of miles away from the Palestinian ambassador to the UN.
Dozens of children are dying of starvation. It's unbearable. How could anyone?
His speech comes as the first aid distribution center in Gaza in months unraveled into chaos, overwhelmed by thousands of Palestinians scrambling for food not seen since the last time Israel let humanitarian aid in March. Israel says warning shots were fired in the chaos to control the crowd. This man said he walked miles to leave with just a can of peas for his family of 10, and this child seen here shoveling flour off the ground. The operation, led by the controversial Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which is backed by the U.S. and Israel, and whose armed private security companies are supported by Israeli troops. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu denies targeting the civilian population, yesterday downplaying the crisis.
We have a policy of starvation. Did you hear that? You didn't? That's the current fad. the current lie.
President Trump has called for an end to the war in Gaza, doubling down today, but stopping short of criticizing Netanyahu's handling of it.
No, we're dealing with the whole situation in Gaza. We're getting food to the people of Gaza. It's been a very nasty situation, very nasty fight.
It has been 600 days since Hamas's October 7th attack on Israel, today marked with thousands of people rallying in Tel Aviv, pleading the government to bring the remaining 58 hostages home.
That was Christian Cordero reporting. Well, we got some rain earlier today in the state line.
And we have a small chance for some showers later. Candace will let us know what we can expect as we look ahead. Her full forecast is coming up next.
Now, your first warned weather forecast from Chief Meteorologist Candace King.
We can tell where we had more cloud cover and rain showers and where they are currently when we look at our temperatures across the region. The green, where numbers are in the 50s and the 60s across parts of the Midwest and Great Lakes, Rockford included, warming down to the south. And with a ridge of high pressure building up to the north in Canada, temperatures are actually warmer there up to the north. Locally, our numbers are in the 60s. We're at 64 in Rockford. We did squeeze out 65 degrees for a high today, 64 in Freeport, Dixon, 50s we've dropped down to now in southern Wisconsin and out to the east. Still at 62 for our weather watcher Jean down in DeKalb. A light wind from the east at about 7 miles per hour and holding on to a little bit of moisture down there. Weather watcher Terry in Genoa also at 62 degrees. Northeasterly wind at 9 miles per hour and that dew point number at 55. So we've added a little more moisture into the air. But most of the rainfall is done here for this evening. Now with some clearing, however, we might still see an isolated shower at least through sunset, but a lot of dry time as we go through the remainder of this afternoon and evening. You can start to see a couple of very light green specks kind of pop back up with some of the breaks in the cloud cover, all rotating around an area of low pressure. And when we look across the area from north, south, east, west, generally our skies are mostly cloudy with a few breaks kind of embedded within that. So mostly cloudy skies will continue through this evening, but where some of that cloud cover thins out just a bit, we might see some areas of patchy fog with a light northerly wind and temperatures dropping down into the low 50s. Tomorrow we're in the low 70s, partly sunny going into tomorrow afternoon, and with the heating of the day, an isolated shower or two can't be completely ruled out. So this is what it looks like as we go through the rest of tonight. Notice some breaks in the cloud cover through sunset, still a few isolated showers there up to the north. Temperatures will be slow to drop back here as we go through the rest of this evening. Tomorrow, more of the same, although I think we get a few more breaks in some of that cloud cover here as we head throughout the afternoon and going into the evening. With the heating of the day, an isolated shower and perhaps a rumble of thunder can't be completely ruled out. There's just a little bit of instability that builds up during that time. We'll clear things out Thursday night into Friday. Friday begins our warming trend as temperatures most likely will stay in the upper 70s during the afternoon. Now there is a cold front that comes in likely late in the day. This front slowing down just a bit, and if so, it keeps most of our Friday dry. I think in general most of our Friday is dry, but there could be an isolated shower along an east there of I-39 once we get into the evening hours. Very little, I think, as far as any coverage. That front will then push to the west of us. Notice our wind then shifting to the east and northeast, so we've got that kind of backdoor cold front coming in, not really having too much of an impact on our weather. There may be a shower or two that tries to develop along that front, staying to our west, keeping us relatively dry as we head through Saturday. Then those numbers are going to warm up getting into next week. So 79 on Friday, 75 still on Saturday. We've got temperatures that'll drop down and stay in the low 50s getting into the weekend, but the numbers will begin to warm as a ridge of high pressure builds in by the time we get into early next week. That'll bring us back into the 80s, but it also gives us a little more of an active weather pattern, which could bring a few more opportunities for some showers and a couple of thunderstorms there as we get into next Tuesday and Wednesday.
Thank you, Candace.
Scott's next with sports.
The Cubs rookie third baseman is feeling like $1 million after what he did last night.
Now sports with sports director Scott Lever.
The Cubs will be going after a 3-game sweep of the Rockies this evening. The final game will be played at Wrigley Field with Matthew Boyd taking the mound. First 2 games of the Woeful Rockies have surprisingly been tight games. Last night's went extra innings before Matt Shaw ended it with a flare to right field that brought home the winning run in the 11th inning. Cubs won 4-3. Shaw definitely looks more comfortable now than he did at the start of the season. He's just one more weapon in that lineup. The Cubs won 10 of the last 12 games. They're sitting 13 games over 500, and they have a 3-game lead over the Cardinals in the division. North Boone alum Chandler Alderman isn't the only local guy suiting up for the Rockford Rivets this season. Sycamore graduate Tommy Townsend is another. He is starting at first base, and he's off to a great start. Through 2 games, he has 2 hits, he's walked 3 times, and he's driven in 2 runs. This is Townsend's second season with the Rivets. He played in 38 games last season. He batted .267 with 3 homers and 31 RBIs.
I love being around all the guys all summer. I'm playing a full again, so I'm really excited to be here, and hopefully we can be as good as we did last year.
How important is this stint here in the summer with the Rivets to continue to develop you for your next season of college?
Well, I'm a summer ball enthusiast. I love summer ball. I think it's extremely important. Every year that you can, be done with your college season and come here and play as many games as you can, get as many at-bats as you can. I mean, it just is making you a better player.
Townsend recently finished up his second year of college ball at Butler, but he's in the transfer portal. North Boone head baseball coach Drew Baden is moving on from North Boone. He tells me he's going to become the athletic director at South Beloit. Baden's North Boone teams have had a great run under him. They've had winning seasons for the last 5 years. In the last 2 years, they've won 26 games each season, and they finished second in the Big Northern Conference both seasons. The Oklahoma City Thunder will try to close out the NBA's Western Conference Finals tonight on their home court. One more win, and they'll eliminate the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Thunder lead the series 3-1. In the Eastern Conference, the Pacers can eliminate the Knicks tomorrow night in New York. That's sports. We'll be right back.
Nearly a dozen penguins are getting a second chance to make it on their own.
The penguins were found malnourished in the Buenos Aires province of Argentina. Young penguins often have a hard time figuring out how to catch food on their first migrations, which can lead to malnutrition. Animal rescue workers nursed the 11 birds back to health. They released the 7 young birds and 4 adults back into the wild, where they'll get a second chance at a fresh start as they migrate north. They're so cute.
Little human help.
Yeah. Sometimes we all need just a little bit of help.
Right?
Yeah. Get going there.
Very nice.
Yeah.
It looked a lot colder there than it is here, though.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it is a little cool. It's not really chilly outside.
Right.
Even though temperatures are in the 60s, it's not terribly cold, but it was kind of rainy, and I think just a blah day. I think that's a good way to describe it. Blah. That's all we're going to say today. We got a little more yay, I think, in the forecast going into the weekend. May still see an isolated shower out there this evening. Temperatures in the low 50s tonight. Could see some patchy fog. Low 70s tomorrow, and then 80s by the time we get into next week.
Thank you, Candace.
And thanks for joining us. We'll see you again at 6.